Hey everyone, it's your girl Valerie Frost. So I have been sharing my post-systems healing and recovery journey. So I have an update. I have not been able to work out for like 4 days now. Not funny and, relevant to what I'm going to share today, but I completely injured myself. I don't know exactly what, but kind of feeling a little bit like I just had another C-section, not feeling good, stretched some abdominal muscle of sorts. And it really got me thinking about one of the comments when I was doing the NACC virtual conference, the plenary session. So I just want to read the comment just verbatim here. So as a child's attorney and a recent new mother, coming back from maternity leave has made hospital removals at birth strike me as particularly traumatic and horrific. I cannot imagine delivering my child and having a child welfare worker show up at my bedside to take that child. So this is something that I've spoken about at various times. I do think it is truly barbaric that the system does not care about your trauma. It does not take your feelings, emotions into account at all. I talk about gaining context. You can't engage at any level. Engagement is a relationship. You can't have a relationship with someone that you don't know. You need context rather than to freeze someone in one moment and not understand all the history that got them up there, and then also to be able to see their future potential and also the future effects, the generational effects, the effects on that child later on. If you just say, I am zeroing in on this moment, right now I'm going to do this, and I'm not going to think about what led up to here, and I'm not really future thinking either. So anyway, this one is particularly touches me a lot, obviously, as a woman, as a mother. So again, with my current healing and recovery process, to put this into context, I have had systems involvement from 1 month postpartum, 3.5 years straight. And again, at one point, I was dual systems involved during that time. Even now, as I am getting out of the system, as I am working on it again, I've got the water, the vitamins, just the super basics. I have, yes, one might say, oh, your child's about to be 4 years old. You're not a new mom again. I don't think that my body agrees with that, because I just started working out, and then immediately obviously my body is not ready to do normal workouts. So it's been 4 days now that I have taken this break. When I go back, which may be tomorrow or, the start of next week, I'm going to have to shift my entire workout plan to core and working on that core rebuilding, doing some maybe postpartum specific Pilates. I can't do the same thing that I was doing before. It's not good. So, obviously my body is telling me that I don't care if it's been 4 years, you've had 2 C-sections, and this is what we've got. On top of that, I have been nursing the entire time. So I had just weaned about 3 weeks ago, which is maybe when I first started making these videos, or I had made some video update at some point. But I am only about 3 months, again, 3 months out from systems involvement, and I had weaned 3 weeks ago from nursing. And yes, that is a very long time to nurse, but for me, I kind of made this commitment that I can't really handle too much change at once, and it was a lot, what I was dealing with. And so I just committed that while I was systems involved, I was not going to make any, unless, I was doing child-led weaning. So unless the child was ready, I wasn't going to touch it. And that was something that, again, the system takes a lot of your agency away, a lot of your autonomy away. no feeling of safety whatsoever. Once you're involved in the system has hold of your fate. You're not living your life anymore. You're not making your own choices. I could not be a parent that just does what my best judgment of parenting. Everything is under a microscope. Everything belongs to the state. So for me, that was one piece of comfort and security that I could offer. And so it was a lot. It was a lot for me, you know, mentally and physically. But all of that to say is I'm new. I'm only a couple months into working out after having major surgery, another C-section, physically, hormonally. I mean, I'm basically freshly postpartum again. I mean, there's a big hormone shift again when you stop breastfeeding. So, you know, it just, when I think about the system, and a lot of people, at least here in the United States, a lot of people that are the professionals are women, and yet you just shut off your humanity and your femininity and like all of your intuition and knowledge about what it means to be a woman and have a woman's body. And, you know, these are no small things. I'm not saying that this should be like you can plead insanity for murdering someone and you can plead estrogen or something if you abuse a child. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I don't understand how that is not taken into consideration, how there is not a specialized unit that handles cases that involve pregnant and postpartum women. And by postpartum, I think that postpartum goes all the way up through, if you are nursing, you're lactating, I think it goes all the way up through some time period after you wean. Even going back to my first and second CPS involvement, or maybe just even the first one. So that was a little bit after the twins had turned 2. It was a few months after I had stopped pumping, because I pumped until about 19 months. And with the twins, because I gave birth at 28 weeks, my water broke at 26 weeks, I had severe hyperemesis throughout my pregnancy. So I didn't gain that much weight while I was pregnant with twins. But after the C-section, and I also because I delivered so early, I have like an abnormal incision. After I gave birth and the recovery and pumping for 2, so I couldn't nurse because they were on feeding tubes and latching and all this stuff. So I couldn't nurse. I had to pumping and recovering from C-section and an emergency C-section. I gained a ton of weight after I delivered, and really and truly after the first year or so, that was the most I have ever weighed in my entire existence on the face of this earth. It was a lot. I show the pictures when I present. I show the picture of us outside the children's hospital, and I'm huge, so huge. I was willing to be big to feed my kids, and it just wasn't a priority at the time. I wasn't working. The twins came home at 4 pounds, so I wasn't working. I'm home taking care of babies. I'm going around the clock, pumping all day, every few hours. I mean, it was a lot. Obviously not really able to take the best care of myself. And so when I got to 19 months, I was getting better at the twin mom thing and all of that. That's when I stopped pumping. I went to the YMCA. I got a scholarship for membership. They had child watch, so I started to get a break. I started to take the kids to child watch. I started working out. As soon as I stopped pumping, the weight just like melted off, on top of I'm going back to the gym. And it was just a few months later, now I have my first CPS involvement, and in my open records, it says that the CPS worker, who I've told the story a trillion times, is like a 22-year-old, just got out of college. I'm 30, mom of twins, all this medical stuff going on. The CPS worker went to the pediatrician, and the pediatrician told the CPS worker that I had lost weight recently. And the way that it's written in there, it's like suspicious. Like it looks like it was intentionally pulled out of context to look bad. Like, oh, don't know how first of all, I was already huge, unhealthy, not like me at all. Again, if you talk about context, if you know me, I'm not a big person. I've never been a big person. So that was strange. It was stranger that I was big than me being closer to my norm. But no one asked me any of this context. Nobody asked me that I had just weaned, that I had been pumping for all that time, trying to give milk to these 2 kids, doing the best. I didn't have to do all of that. That was a lot. That was my commitment to my children, to give them breast milk that long. And it was a lot of work. And it was weighing on me to be huge, but I was pushing through. And, again, I stopped pumping and I start going to the gym, and I started, like, the pound melted, just started melting off of me. But to insinuate that, like, maybe I was using drugs or something strange was going on, and that's mean. That's mean. It's mean that came from a woman pediatrician. And I'm not saying that she said that. She could have said anything. She could have been like, Valerie looked great. She clearly lost some weight. She might have said that, but the CPS worker took it and was like, I need to find ways to make this person look bad. So I will piecemeal anything that looks like I could just take it out of context, put it in here, and create this mean narrative. It's mean. There's no other word for it. It is bullying, and it is unkind, because my other comments and my other posts, if you read that, said that my house was not nasty. That's not even professional language. Her house is not nasty. This is what you get paid to do. So again, I was getting my feelings a little bit, you all. Let me take it down. But I don't know. I think it is barbaric. Like, going back to this comment, particularly traumatic and horrific. I think it is so inhumane to take the humanity out of a woman who is postpartum. You deliver a baby, you're still bleeding for weeks on end, and you take a child. I cannot wrap my head around it, and I cannot wrap my head around there not being a specialized unit of people who understand these things. Because that is such a precarious time for a baby, for a woman. They are not out of the water after delivery as far as really poor maternal outcomes, and especially for women of color. I cannot wrap my head around it. And that is something that I wish we would talk about more. I wish that there was more done for. I wish that CPS workers had better training, better understanding. But I don't think that you need to train someone. That should be so intuitive. How does that not go through a worker's mind? And that concerns me for the practice, that it's like, do you have to compartmentalize something inside you, that you don't see other people as human beings? You don't see a delicate situation as a delicate situation. You don't have like any conscience about it. I don't understand it. I don't agree with it. I do think that there needs to be like a specialized prenatal, postnatal team. And there needs to be like numbers written down that if a woman is pregnant, postpartum up to a certain point, longer if she's lactating, just weaned, I think that all of that should be taken into consideration. No, I don't think that means that you allow abuse and neglect to blatantly occur. I do think that there needs to be an understanding and an approach and a different pathway and route taken. A little more sensitivity and a little more understanding would go a long way.